in the ID, what is the intrusion detection system and its application in BFSI. And then we got to know about the advantages of using Texecom products in the BFSI sector comparatively to the other brands, and what all solution we can provide in the BFSI sector, right? And today's agenda is majorly on the installation part. And then after today's session, the next week's session will be covering more of the programming part, and then the handover, the checklist, like whatever the handover procedure is there, who is the end customer is there. So accordingly, we provide the handover, and then the maintenance, what all maintenance part you need to take care about. Okay, so let us see a little bit brief of what we have understood last time. So this is related to the customer need. Here our customer is the bank, the banking sector, and the customer is the end user, means the bank person, the CSO officers or the security people who are managing the security at the banking sector. So first and the supermost need is that they want to protect their ATM machines, their locker area. So in order to protect these areas, we use that type of sensor, which is called the seismic sensors. So these seismic sensors are basically used against the gas cutters or the drilling machines. So if anyone tries to drill, or if anyone's tried to cut any ATM machines, our sensor will protect that area also. Number two, AC failure protection. So what happens is that in our control panel, in our intrusion detection system, we have the external battery installed, right? Which is the which gives the battery, which gives the power backup. So in case of AC failure, whenever the main AC supply gets failed, then our control panel comes to the secondary power, that is on the battery. So in that condition, if our security people wants that, they want the alert that our control panel, our intrusion detection system is on the secondary power, because it is very, very important. This intrusion detection system is basically protecting your complete bank. So they want to get to know that whenever it comes to the secondary power, they should get the alert. So our control panel has the capability to give that kind of alert also. Duress code. So Duress code is called the silent alarm signal to the central monitoring station. So this is a special type of code which will work in the case of any incidents happen. For example, if a burglary is happening in the bank, and as you all know that in the bank there are different areas. Number one is called the customer area. Number two, we have a the locker areas or the vault area. So generally the vault area or the locker area remains closed and remains armed, and if anyone tries to break that area, or if anyone's try to get into that area, then what happens? We use a special code. So that special code will work exactly the same as your normal user code, but it also sends the silent alarm to the central monitoring station. So after getting that silent alarm, that is called a duress alarm, our monitoring team will take the proper appropriate action accordingly. Correct? So our control panel has this feature also. Then we have a silent panic alarm. So as you all know that in all the banking sectors, we give the panic buttons, which is used in case of any emergency situations. Now, just imagine if a robbery is happening and a manager has a panic button in, below his desk. So what will happen? He will press the button. Now, this panic button will not generate a local alarm, or it will not create a local panic alarm at the branch level. But what it will do, it will send the alert to the central monitoring station as a silent panic alarm, right? So this is again a emergency condition, and along with that, we have this feature also. Anti-masking and clockwise PIR. Now, as you all are aware that in the PIR, PIR is basically a passive infrared rays motion sensor, so which detects any unwanted motion is happening at a protected area. Now we have a different variants of PIR motion sensors. For the high security area or the high value assets are there, in order to protect such type of area, we have a special type of PIR which is called the anti-masking, or the other name is called as AMDT, anti-masking dual technology PIR motion. Sorry, just a minute, guys. So in the anti-masking dual technology PIR motions, what will happen if anyone tries to cover the PIR motion with any object or with the box or with the black cloth? Means we are masking that particular PIR so that it should not detect. So what will happen if we are using an anti-masking PIR? It will give the mask alarm alert, right? So such type of protection you will get when you are using the anti-masking PIR. Tamper-proof product. As you all are aware, and you have already attended so many trainings of Texecom, each and every product, whether it is control panel, the main brain of the system, or any type of sensor, or any type of output unit, which is the communication module, means each and every product is tamper proof, right? So this is the benefit you will get whenever you go with the standard products. So tamper proof means if anyone tries to if anyone tries to play with the product, or if anyone tries to cut the wire, then the command station will receive the tamper alerts, along with the local sounder will start hooting. So it means no one can play with your system at all if it is installed at the branch or at any isolated place. It will start giving the alert immediately if anyone tries to play with it. Programming and alarm monitoring over IP. So that's what I have told you in the all these sections, that whenever there is any alert happens, or whenever there is any emergency happens, or a duress code is triggered, all the alerts we can receive over the IP at any central location, which is called the Central Monitoring Stations, CMS. And all these signaling can happen over IP only in Texecom. Timer based on and off electrical appliances. So as although this is again a huge topic to discuss, but a little bit information I would like to just tell you that we have a number of outputs available on the control panels as well as on the expanders. So these outputs can be triggered as per the requirement of the customer. Means you can customize these outputs as per your requirements. So we can trigger the alarms on each and every zone alert. We can trigger the alarms, or we can trigger any third party sounders or any type of communicators in case of any conditions. So there are 500 output logics are already saved in each and every control panel. It's only we have to use it. So such type of a thing you will get when you go with the Texecom products. Okay. Yeah. So typical BOQ, as what I told you earlier, that in the banking sector there is one typical BOQ which is given, and in Texecom, as you all are aware, that there are various kind of control panels, various kind of sensors, various kind of communication modules are there. But in the banking sector, you can say 70 to 80% of the BOQ remains fixed, whether you go with any type of banking sector, PSU banking sectors, or the private sectors, or any NBFC banking sectors. The BOQ 70 to 80% will remain same. And what all these BOQs is, number one is your control panel. Number two is, so this control panel is again the brain of the system. Then we have the input sensors. Sensors means if we have entry exit doors, we will give the door contact. If we have a rolling shutters, we will give the shutter sensors. For the emergency use, we will give the panic buttons. Just a minute, guys. And if we have any server area or any area which we need to protect from fire, we can give the smoke detectors also. As you are aware that Texecom is a fire cum intrusion alarm system, right? And then the seismic sensors for protecting the ATM machines, vault area, your locker areas, and then motion detectors. So as you are aware that if you want to protect your high security values, your high assets values, like your locker areas, we can give the anti-masking dual technology PIR motion sensors. And we have grade 3 shutter contact as well as the door contact. So grade 3, why I'm saying grade 3, because when we give a grading to any sensor, it means it is representing its security level, right? So grade 3 means there is no such type of loophole available in the sensor. Means we cannot bypass the sensor in any condition. Such type of products you can give in the banking sector. And after that, we'll give the output units. That is called the communication modules. So number one is your sounder along with the strobe LED. So Texecom's sounder comes with the bell as well as strobe, both in one thing. Then the second thing we give as a keypad, which is called a display unit for the end customer who is controlling, who is operating the system. It will show all the alerts, even programming he can do. He can use the he can do the creating the user codes or changing the user code. He will use the keypad. So all such type of things you can give in a typical banking sector BOQ designing part. Okay, so this typical BOQ, we have just elaborated in a tabular form that what all things we are exactly giving for a bank. Now, here we are using couple of sensors. Apart from sensors, we have to give one control panel, one keypad, and how we are designing this BOQ, or when you are going to do the installation, how you will do the installation at the banking level. That's what we are discussing here now, right? Uh, Marish, I'm getting a lot of questions from the chat box, I believe, and someone is answering.
Yes, I'm taking care of it, Ribu. You can go on
Sure,
with it.
sure. Thanks. Okay, so guys, in a bank, if you just imagine when we visit any bank, so there are different locations in every banks. So number one is entrance. Number two is the common area. Common area means the customer area where the customer roams around. Then we have a manager cabin, and then we have a strong room area. This is a typical bank if we talk about. Now, in all these locations, what all type of sensors we can give? So in the entrance, at the entrance, we have a rolling shutter, for example. Then we can give shutter contact, which is of grade 3, and ODC3 sounder. So generally, the sounders, we generally install it at the entrance area, correct? If you ever visit any Axis banks, so in the Axis Bank, there are complete Axis Bank has the Texecom products installed. And the main symbol of that is we have the ODC sounder installed at every branch entrance level, entrance gate. correct? Then we have a common area. In the common area we can give one AMDT PIR motion, a panic button maybe near to the guard area, because in the entrance area we have a guard also sitting over there, so we can give a panic button over there also. Then we can give impact S. So impact S is basically your vibration or a shock sensor. So this is generally given at the window level. If we have any fixed windows in the common area, then we can give the vibration sensors and a smoke detectors. So we are using a smoke detector also in the current solution. Now we have a manager cabin. So in the manager cabin, what all things we are installing? So we are putting our control panel in the manager room. Okay, so we have selected that area. Now this control panel, as per the quantity of the sensors and in a general BOQ design, we always give LE24 as a control panel, right? It depends upon the requirement also. If we have a huge requirement in the banks, then we can go opt with the any other panel also. But generally, most of the cases, we give this LE24 control panel. So the location is in the manager cabin room, and we are giving along with that a keypad also, one COM IP module. Why a COM IP module? Because we want to do the monitoring at the CMS level. So let's say if I'm installing a Texecom control panel in an Axis Bank, so in a pan India basis, there are maybe, let's say, take one example of 1000 banks. So in all the 1000 banks, all the branches, we are putting the Texecom products, the Texecom IDS system. Now, what the Axis Bank want is they want to do the monitoring at one location, which is called as central monitoring location, central monitoring station. So this monitoring will happen if you have a COM IP module. So each panel will have one COM IP module. Okay. And then we are giving one panic button in the manager cabin room. Now in the strong room area, so there are a couple of things we need to protect in the strong room area. Number one is the door. The door contact we are giving for protecting the strong room door. Then inside the strong room, we are giving the anti-masking dual technology PIR because it's a high security area, and a seismic sensor. So seismic sensor you can put on the wall. As we have already discussed last time, that the seismic sensor comes in a special product. And why it is a special product? Because um, it has a very limited application, right? So if we need to protect the walls of the strong room area, we use the seismic sensor. Okay. And as I told you earlier that we are using the smoke detectors also. This smoke detector we are using of Apollo or a system sensor brand, and it is a two-wire conventional smoke detectors we are using. Okay. Okay, let's move forward. So in the earlier slide we have just saw in a tabular form that what all products we are using and how much is the quantity we are using and at what locations we are using these products. Then now come to the zone mapping. So now here is your work starts, the installer's work starts. So now what you need to do is you need to mount or you need to connect all these sensors into the control panel. Now while connecting all these sensors into the control panel, what all things you need to take care about is number one, each zone will take one sensor. Why so? Because of its unique identification. If you are putting multiple sensors in a single zone, then your bank will never understand that from which sensor, from which zone they're getting the alert. For example, if you are putting a shutter sensor, panic button, and a magnetic door contact on a single zone, zone number 1, then if at any if at any time you get the alarm from zone number 1, the end customer will never get to know that whether it is from the panic button or from the shutter sensor or from the door contact. So that is the reason we need to install only one sensor on one zone. Okay. Now here we have given some numbering to all the sensors. So as I already discussed in the last slide, in the entrance area, we are using the shutter sensors. Now we have given the zone numbering over here. So in the shutter sensor, we have the alarm terminals, we have a tamper terminals. So I need both the protections. So I have given zone 1 to the alarm terminals, zone 2 for the tamper terminals for shutter contact. And you can see I have given area also. Now, as you already know, because we have already discussed last time that in the control panel, we have the capability, because in the Elite 24 panel, maximum area you can create is 2, area A and area B. So we are using both the areas. Let's take the example of any bank. So in a bank, we have two different areas, which is called, first one is called the customer area or the common area. Second area is called your strong room area or the vault area, where you have the lockers, right? So I want to operate both the areas differently. So that's why what I am doing here is in the zone mapping, all the sensors which is in my common area, I'm giving as a area A, putting it under area A. And all the sensors which is in my strong room area, which is in my strong room uh, partition, I'm giving it as area B. You can see over here. Okay, so that's what I have done in the zone mapping. Each and every sensor I have just mapped it. Means what I am doing practically at the site. On zone number 1, I will connect shutter sensors alarm wiring. On zone 2, I am connecting shutter sensors tamper wiring. Then zone 3, PIR motion. Zone 4 and 5, I am putting panic buttons. Then zone 6, like that, you need to elaborate or you need to make one chart with you on paper so that it will be clear in your mind that what connections you have done, because this will be very helpful while giving the handover training to the end customer. Because once you are clear in your mind, then you are able to tell to the end customer that look, this is the system and that's how your zones are working, your system is working. Okay, and you can see here in the strong room area, all the sensors, whatever the sensors we are using, door contact, PIR motion, seismic sensor, it is coming under area B. Okay, now another thing, important thing which I want to discuss here is in Elite 24 control panel, we have 8 wired zones, only 8 wired zones. Okay, but here we have more than 8 sensors in this BOQ. So how you will get more zones? By connecting the zone expander. So what we have done here is we have connected one zone expander, and this zone expander is on address number 1. We will discuss this more briefly in the upcoming slides, but just want to tell you why I have written over here expander 1, because I need more zones, and this zone expander is on address number 1. So while putting on address number 1, what it will do, what my control panel will do, my control panel will assign zone number 9 to 16 to this zone expander. Okay, please be very careful. Listen it very carefully. I'm repeating one more time. When you give address number 1 to the zone expander, my control panel will assign zone number 9 to 16 to that particular expander. So here you can see, everyone can see my cursor. Door contact grade 3 alarm.
Ribu,
It is
cursor
showing,
is
yeah.
not visible. Can you use the laser pointer? Right click and then use laser
Yeah,
pointer.
I'm clicking on right click. It is not showing. It is showing copy and click. Just a second. Just a minute.
Yeah, now it's visible full screen, Ribu.
Yeah, just a minute. Okay, so guys, I was telling you about the expander, right? As we have to use one expander, which is on address number 1, and it will start from zone number 9. Here it is. Because everyone must be wondering that here we have given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up to 7 we have started from 9. Why so? That is why, because we are using the expander zone, and expander is on address number 1. That is why it has started from 9. So 9 to 16 you will get rest 8 of the zones. Okay. So let's move forward and see the installation step. So now here is the interesting part. Now this is the step which you need to follow while doing the intrusion detection system installation. Whether it is the banking sector or any other sector, it doesn't matter. But the installation step will remain same everywhere. If you are going with the wired solution or if you are going with the intrusion detection system solution. Okay, so what you need to do, you have a control panel. This is the image of Elite 24 control panel. So number 1, you put the expander, means you are connecting the expander. You are connecting the keypad to the control panel. Then number 2, you are connecting all your sensors. Here I am just showing you only 2 sensors. Okay, because of the limitation of the size, I cannot show all the sensors over here. But it means after connecting the expander and the keypad, the second step is you need to connect all your wired sensors. Okay. After that, you power up your control panel. Okay. So powering up comes always at number 3 position. First of all, you need to do all the connections. Make sure. Then we come with the programming part. So once all the connections are done, you have to start doing the programming, whether from the keypad or from the Wintech software, whichever the thing is easy for you. No doubt, software makes your life easy, but try to do the programming from the keypad also so that it will remain in your mind for longer period of time. Okay, then install your communication modules. Although I would say that the communication modules should also be installed before powering up the control panel. Okay, so the good practice is install your communication module also before powering up the control panel, means your sounder as well as your IP module. So first do the connection and then start doing powering up, and after that program communication, and then do the walk test and communication. So walk test means once all the programming is complete, now start doing your testing. Testing each and every sensor, testing each and every alert, whether you are getting these alerts or not on the command station, and whether all the communication modules are properly working. Check all the voltages, check the voltages at the terminal level of the battery, and then we will follow the handover procedure and the checklist. So this is the complete step of doing the installation of intrusion detection system at the banking level. So this is the something walk test mode, means a person is coming in front of the PIR and you are checking that whether the alarm is occurring or not, right? So this is what you need to follow. So here, just showing you a little bit about the powering up the control panel. So from the main switchboard, you just take the wire and connect to the control panel, and then putting the 12 volt 7Ah DC external battery. And this is the thumb rule. This is not a Texecom rule. Okay, this is the thumb rule, means universally you have to follow this way only. First AC supply to the control panel and then connect the battery. Always follow in this manner only, whether you are using any alarm system. Okay. Now let us see how to do the connections of the keypad and the expanders. Although we have already explained in the previous trainings, weekly trainings in the wired solution, but still here we will again explain you about the connections of these devices. So here what it is representing, on the control panel PCB board, we have a network port. This network port is of 4 terminals: positive, negative, transmission, receiver, right? So this 4 terminal block is called network port 1. Now on this network port, what all products you can connect? Number 1 is your keypad, and number 2 is your expander, zone expander, which gives you 8 additional zones, right? So in the keypad and in the expander, again we have a network port. So you need to connect the wire as it is: positive to positive, negative to negative, transmit to transmit, receive to receive, like this. Okay. And along with that, just want to add on here that you can do the wiring in star connections or in a daisy chain wiring. Both the connections is possible. So star means all the devices are connecting individually. Keypad wire is coming individually. Expander wire is coming individually to the control panel. This is called star. Okay. Daisy chain means you are first connecting keypad or expander, either one. Then from that first device, you are connecting the second device. That is called daisy chain. And that is considered as best wiring because the current flow will remain proper in the daisy chain wiring. Try to do the wiring in a daisy chain format only. It saves your wire cost. Unnecessary wires, the wastage of wire does not happen in daisy chain, and the current flow will remain very good. Okay, so guys, as you remember, during the zone mapping, I have shown you that we have to give the zone numbers to the sensor. Why so? Because my control panel understand that language only. Okay, as you and me can understand English and Hindi language. So my control panel understand its own language. So accordingly, we have to tell to the control panel that, see, this is what it is happening. Means now my control panel will able to understand that, okay, that you have connected, because here in the last slide we have connection is done of the keypad as well as for the expander. Now here my control panel, how it will get to know that it has to give the zones 9 to 16 to this expander, because this assigning of zones will be done by the motherboard, which is my control panel. But how it will do? It will do when we set the address in the expander. So in the expander and in the keypad, we have a dip switches, which looks like this. Everyone can see my cursor, the red pointer. This is the dip switches in expander as well as in the keypad. So what we need to do, the first expander, we need to give address number 1. How we will give? We will turn on the dip switch number 1 in the expander. Just turn on dip switch number 1. Rest all 2, 3, 4 will be down. Here in the image it is showing all are up. Just for your understanding, we are showing you how dip switch looks like, but for addressing only one will be on, all three will be down. So it will take address number 1 and zone number 9 to 16 will be assigned to the zone expander. Now come to the keypad. So if you have a keypad should also be address number 1 in the same manner. Okay, let's say I have another expander number 2. Then what you need to do for expander number 2, you need to turn on dip switch number 2. Rest all the dip switches will remain down. Only 2 will be on for the second expander. This is the additional information I am trying to give. Just you can understand in your brain that what is happening. For second expander, you give address number keypad, you give address number 2. Control panel will able to differentiate that, okay, on the PCB, on the main control panel, you have 2 expanders, which is on 1 and 2 address. Okay, so that's how our control panel will assign the zones through the addressing.
One thing
Okay.
that I want to add, Ribu, so if you can go back to the previous slide. So if you see, when we looked at the zone mapping, we said all the sensors in strong room, their zone numbers will start from 9. This is the reason why we said that. Right? The
Yes.
first 1 to 8 zones of Elite 24 panel are present on the panel PCB. Right? Because your sensors in strong room are going to be connected on expander, they will start taking zone numbers starting from 9. Okay. Yeah, Ribu, go on.
Yeah, just a minute. Okay, so guys, now let us see one by one what all sensors we are installing. As you already know, we have given the list in the beginning of the slide that these are the products we are installing at the bank. Now, how to do these wiring? Let us see this. So number 1 we are showing here is the capture PIR, or it is also called as anti-masking PIR. Anti-masking, Marish, just correct me if I'm wrong. It is anti-masking dual technology PIR. Is it correct?
Yes, yes, it is dual technology.
Yeah. So this is called as A20. As you all are aware that we are coming up with the new range of PIR motion, which start with the name capture, right? So the anti-masking dual technology is called as A20. 20 means it can detect up to 20 meters. Okay, and it creates the angle of 85 to 90 degree. This is what the range is representing. Now let us see about the wiring. So before we come to the wiring, this is the terminal block you will find in the A20 or anti-masking PIR. So it is very simple. First two is for the power, positive and negative. Sorry, negative and positive. Then another two, which is 3 and 4 terminals, are for your zone connections, which is written as triple EOL. So guys, please be very careful. Anti-masking dual technology PIR is your grade 3 PIR motion sensor, and the connections are always done in triple end of line. Don't worry about this terminology. Connections is very simple. It is just a 2-wire connecting on the zones. The only thing here is that in the zone wiring, in the programming, instead of selecting normally close, which we generally do, you have to select one option which is called triple EOL. Okay, so why triple EOL? That I will discuss in the later on stage. Then we have a test terminal. So this test terminal is basically used for the walk test mode. If you want to test using the LED status, by checking the LED status, then we use this terminal. We hardly use this terminal because we have other options of testing the PIR motion, right? Then number 6 terminal is not used. It is for the future purpose. And the last terminals is for the RLED. It is for the latching purpose. Okay, this is also very specific for the specific requirement that we will not discuss it here because it hardly used. Okay, so this is what our A20 or AMDT PIR looks like. As you can see, this particular rectangular box, it is representing the various values of resistance. So this triple end of line PIR motion sensor works on 3 different resistance value. What it is? 2K2, which is for the fault, 2K2 for tamper, and 4K7 for alarm. As this is the anti-masking PIR motion, so this fault is basically for the masking purpose. If anyone tries to mask this PIR motion sensor, my PIR motion will give the mask alarm. And how it is happening? Because of this resistance value, 2K2. Okay, if anyone tries to cut the wire of the PIR, it will give the tamper alarm. And how it is happening? Because of this resistance value, 2K2. And when it detects the alarm, it is happening because of 4K7 resistance value. So this is what you need to set over here. Here is the slider. Everyone can see my cursor, the red pointer. There is a slider button. So you need to select, you need to move the slider. Here are the different values are written. So you need to select the slider over this value. Once it is set to this value, it will start working. It is so simple. There is no need of any external resistance value. No need to connect any resistance over here because all these resistance values are already given over here. It is inbuilt in the sensor. So here is the connection. Very simple. Just like any other PIR motion sensor. The only thing you need to take care about is that I will tell you in the later on stage. First, see the connection from A and B terminal. Take out 2 wires and connect on the zones. So as you know that we are using Elite24 control panel. On Elite24 control panel, we have 2 terminal of zones, which looks like this. And it's a simple connection. You need to take out 2 wire and connect it. And as the PIR motion takes power in order to operate, right? We have 2 type of sensors. One is non-powered devices, another is powered devices. Powered means which takes the power in order to operate. So PIR motion takes the power and you need to give the power from control panel. In the control panel, we have aux positive and negative and connect the wire over there. So this is the simple connection you need to do. So here are the 3 resistance value which I have already explained. Due to this resistance value, it is detecting all these 3 conditions in a simple way. Okay, so most important thing you can see here, we have written that anti-masking calibration takes 180 seconds, during which time there should be no activity in protected area. So what it is saying that when you power up your PIR motion sensor, it takes about 3 minutes of time. Why so? Because it has the feature of anti-masking. That feature needs to get, you can say, the calibration need to be set, and it takes 3 minutes of time. During that period of time, no movement should be there in front of the PIR motion sensor. Okay, so this is the point you need to just remember and keep it in mind while doing the installation. And guys, one more important thing, that the PIR motion sensor should be installed at a height of 2.5 meter. This is the minimum height from the ground level. Minimum height is 2.5 meter up to 3 meters, 3 or 3.2 meters. That's it. Not more than that from the ground level. Okay. Okay. So let's move on to the another sensor, which is called a shutter sensor. So as we told you that we have a grade 3 shutter contacts also. So grade 3 is again representing the security level of that particular sensor, which means there is no loophole whatsoever in the sensor. We cannot bypass this sensor at all in any condition. Correct? So this is the wiring structure of the shutter contact, the grade 3 shutter contact. So here we have, as you can see, this is called the junction box. So everyone knows that the shutter contact basically has two parts. One is called the contact, which looks like this, the contact part, which is called the magnet part, and the base part, right, which is here called as a junction box, or the base part, which is called, right? So these two things makes the shutter contact. Now, in the shutter contact, as it is a grade 3 shutter contact, so this is the wiring which you need to do. These are the two terminals coming out, and these two terminals are basically connect on the zone. Again, it is representing as tamper. So these two terminals will give the tamper alert, and these two terminals, these two wires will give the alarm alert. So the connections are very much similar. If you think about any other third party sensor, or sorry, not the third party, if any other type of sensor, the Texecom sensors, we have two tamper terminals, we have two alarm terminals. So here also in the shutter contact, we have two tampered wires are coming from the sensors and two alarm wires are coming from the sensors. So if you put these wires on the zone, that particular zone will give the alarm trigger, or the zone alarm on that particular sensor, and these two wires will give the tamper alarm. As simple as that. So one more thing just want to highlight here, whatever we have learned here, as you can see, the resistance value 2K2 and 4K7. So always remember that the Texecom panel always detect the alarm at 4K7 resistance value and the tamper alarm at 2K2 resistance value. This is same for every control panel, for every zone expander in Texecom. Okay, here also internally how it is detecting the tamper alarm, because it has that value resistance inbuilt. That's why it is detecting these alarms, the tamper alarms and the zone alarm. Okay, and here you can see it is connected as normally closed. So once you take the two wire and it will going to connect on the zones, you have to program that zone as normally closed, as we are not using any resistance. And here also the zone, the alarm terminals, the alarm wires, again it is programmed as normally closed. Okay. The third sensor is called the door contact. So again, we have a grade 3 door contact. Wiring will be same. Two wires are representing as tamper. Two wires are representing as alarm. So separate wires will going to connect on the zone. For zone, a different wire will be there. Means, sorry, For tamper, a different zone will be there, and for alarm, a different zone will be there. So you need to connect the wire as it is. Correct? It's a simple connection and a simple programming. But in today's session, we are just covering the installation part, not the programming part, because the programming part will take a little bit more time, which we will cover in the next week session. Okay, so this is the another sensor which is called the seismic sensor. So guys, seismic sensor is basically we are using in the bank. In this example, we are using for the vault area or in the locker area. So inside the locker area, we are mounting these seismic sensors on the walls. So if anyone tries to drill at the wall and tries to come inside the wall, it will detect the alarm. Okay, so and how is the connection happening? So this is my seismic sensor terminals. So we have alarm terminals in the seismic sensor. Take out the two wire and connect on the first and the last terminal. Now guys, as you see here, if you see in the last slide where I am connecting the PIR motion sensor, it was representing only two terminal zone, right? But here it is representing four terminal zones because the PIR motion which we are mounting, which we are connecting, it is happening on the control panel zone. In the control panel in LE24 control panel, all zones are having two terminals. But in the zone expander, all zones are having four terminals. Okay. What is the difference? Four terminal zones is having both alarm as well as tamper. Okay. In the single zone, you will get both the things. But in the two terminal zones, you can make it either as alarm or you can make it as tamper. So if you want to use both the things, alarm as well as tamper, in two terminal block zones, then you have to use two zones. Okay, in the zone expander, you will get both the things in a single zone. So here I am using only the alarm terminals of a sensor. I'm not using tamper terminals. And how you will do the connection? There are two terminals from the sensor. First, we're going to connect on the first terminal of the zone, and second of the sensor will connect, second wire of the sensor will connect on the fourth terminal of the zone. So this is called as normally closed wiring. Okay, please remember this. This is called as normally closed wiring. Okay, and the seismic sensor, again, it's a power device, so it will take the power. From where it will take? We have aux positive and negative, so aux positive and negative we have to give power from here. So let's move on to the next sensor, which is called a panic button. So panic button, again, this sensor we need to connect on the zone. Another thing is that this is a non-power device. It does not require any power to operate. It requires only a zone connection. So here we are showing two different type of wiring. One is called double pole wiring. Guys, whenever it says double, double means two things. So we are taking both alarm as well as tamper. And when we are connecting, when we are doing wiring as normally close, means we are using either one. Like either we are doing alarm connections or we are doing tamper connections. It's not both. Okay. How to do these type of connections? We are representing over here both the things. For double pole wiring, you need 4-core wire. And on the zone terminal, as on a single zone, you have both the tamper. So alarm wire will go to A terminals, tamper wire will go to T terminals. So first 2 represents alarm, next 2 represents tamper. And this is called double pole wiring, where you need 4 core wire. Correct? Then come to the normally closed wiring. Now here I am not using tamper wiring. I am using only alarm wiring. Then how you need to connect? Again, the same terminals, the alarm terminals on the panic button, but the connections will be first and the fourth terminal of the zone. Correct? So whenever you have 4 terminal block zone and you are doing normally closed connection, first and the fourth terminal you have to put the connection. The middle 2 terminals, you leave it as it is. As it. So I hope all these connections are easy and you are able to understand it properly. Okay. Okay, now come to the smoke sensors connection. So guys, as I told you that in this currently the banks which we are using, we are putting the smoke detector also, and we are using I think 2 smoke detectors. Now this is the wiring connections you have to follow. Number 2, that the wire you need to connect is on the output. The smoke detector does not take any zone. Please remember that. Guys, just want to show you something in the zone mapping here now. If you have saw here, smoke sensor, I have not given any zone. It is written as NA. Why so? Because the smoke detector connects on the output, and that is too on the panel output, not on the digi outputs. You guys are very much well versed with the panel because we have already done the training of wired sensors where we have shown the panel PCB and everything. On the panel PCB, on Elite 24 control panel, we have panel output which is represented as OP1. On the OP1, you need to connect your smoke detector. And how you need to connect the smoke detector? Let us see now. Like this. So this smoke detector you are using, so this diagram I am showing you of the system sensor. Please remember, this is the system sensor's 2-wire smoke detector connection I am showing you here. Okay. What all other products you can connect? One is system sensor. Another brand is Apollo 2-wire smoke detector. Number 3 is Bosch. Okay, all these 3 we have tested and it is up and running at the site also. Apart from this, I'm not saying that we cannot connect, but we have not tested it on our system. But yes, we can try other brands also. Okay. Okay, so now here the connections are very simple. How it is connecting? Before the connection, you need to remember one thing, that we have to use the resistors, 2 different type of resistor. Number 1, whatever the last smoke detector you have, maximum you can connect 10 smoke detectors. 2 wire 10 smoke detectors you can connect in each control panel. So you have to use 2 different resistance value. Number 1 is 1 kilo ohm end of line resistor, where it will connect on the last smoke detector. If you have 2 smoke, on the last of the second smoke, you need to connect the end of line resistor 1 kilo ohm. The second resistor you have to use is 100 ohms, where it will connect at the aux terminal in series. At the aux terminal, aux positive terminal in series connection, you need to connect the 100 ohms resistor. These two resistors you have to use. And the negative of the smoke detector will going to connect on the OP1, which is your panel output 1 terminal. Okay, so here is the connection. You can see the positive, it is connecting here in, and there is a out terminal which is connecting to the in of the second terminal, second smoke. And again we have a out terminal from the second, and which is connecting to the resistor. So basically it is representing that the positive is common. The positive is common, right? And then we are connecting the negative to the in out negative terminal, and from this again connecting, from this again connecting. So you can see this is a simple connection, although it looks little difficult in the picture, but it is very simple. There is no hard and fast thing in this connection diagram of the smoke detector. And as I said, that you can connect maximum 10 smoke detectors of 2 wire in each control panel. If you want to connect more smoke detectors, then you have to use 4 wire smoke detectors. Okay, the 4 wire smoke detector connects on zone terminals. 2 wire smoke detector connects on output terminals. I hope this will make clear in your mind that what is happening in the connections. Okay. Okay. So now come to the impact S, which is your vibration or your shock sensor. So guys, as you are aware that we generally connect the shock sensors on the fixed windows, right? So the connections are like this. So this is my sensor terminal. On the sensor terminal, these two terminals are written as EOL, end of line. Okay, so take the 2 wires from this terminal and connect on the first and the fourth terminal of the zone. As simple as you can see. And as the shock sensor is the power device, it takes the power to connect the aux terminals, positive and negative. And in the zone wiring, we need to make it as double pole EOL. Okay, why it is double pole EOL? Because of this. As you can see, this impact S is the new range of our vibration or the shock sensor. Now in the sensor, inside the sensor, you will find these dip switches. Now, what is this dip switches representing? This dip switches are representing the alarm and the tamper. So what will happen with the 2 core wire? With the help of 2 core wire only, you are getting alarm as well as tamper, both the signals. How you are getting? You need to turn on the dip switch number 2 of the alarm dip switch set, and on the tamper dip switches you need to turn on the dip switch number 2. Both the dip switch 2 should be on in order to get the alarm as well as tamper alerts. Okay, this is how you need to do the setting in the dip switches. Another thing is sensitivity level. So as you are aware that the vibration sensors, when we are mounting it, it depends upon the type of product or the type of glass which is there at the side. According to that, we need to set the sensitivity level. Sometimes we have very thick security glasses. Sometimes it is tainted. So sometimes, so there are different variants of glasses. Accordingly, we need to set the sensitivity level. So there are 5 type of sensitivity level starting from 1 to 5. So 5 is the highest sensitivity level, 1 is the lowest sensitivity level. Inside the shock sensor, there is a small black button, very small black button, which is over there, it is written as sensitivity. You can set the sensitivity level from that button. Okay, which we have already explained you when we have shown you the video how to set the sensitivity level of the shock sensor. Okay, so again you can see the resistance value it detects, because this dip switch the dip switch we are setting, it is actually the resistance value which is inbuilt in the sensor. Through this value 4K7 it is detecting the alarm, 2K2 it is detecting the tamper. Okay, so this is same for every sensor in Texecom system. Okay, guys. So here is the end of our today's session. So in today's session, we have covered that what is the typical BOQ for any banks. As I told you that 70 to 80% of the sensors and the panels are remain same, because there are a lot of factors like cost constraints are there. Then if it is a government sector, then you know that there is a tendering we have to follow, and under the tendering there are n number of competitors. So accordingly we have to design the system, and the system remains same for every bank. Most of the bit are same. So this is what we have learned about the typical BOQ. Then we have saw in the BOQ that in the installation process, like how to do the zone mapping, then how to do the connections of the expanders, keypad, and all the sensors. We can make the connections of the keypad and the expanders in a star or in a daisy chain wiring. And then how to do the different type of wiring in the sensors. Like there are normally closed connections, there are triple end of line connections, there are double pole wiring or end of line connections, and how it is detecting the alarm and the tamper conditions. Like on the 4K7 it detects the alarm, and on the 2K2 resistance value it detects the tamper condition. Right, so this is all about today's session, guys. And Marish, if you want to add anything,
Yeah, so
then yes.
yeah, so there are quite a few questions